you doing? Welcome into HouseOfSparky.com. I'm Troy Lynch. He's Blaine McCormick. It's our first show of this season. We hope you're excited. Blaine, I hope you're excited too.
Oh, I'm very excited. ASU went 1-0 this season. I think we can go 1-0 on this show specifically.
Let's just hope it's not as close as the last game.
Well, speaking of that game, let's get to the highlights. To Sun Devil Stadium we go. First quarter, Manny Wilkins dropping back in the pocket, drives it over to Jalen Harvey for the 53-yard passing touchdown. ASU leads this one 14-0. Harvey, just a monster receiver as he gets a little head nod. Then the New Mexico State Aggies launching this one up as Rogers, and coming down with it, the one-handed catch from Jaleel Scott. A SportsCenter-worthy play, not a SportsCenter-worthy celebration, but a great play anyways. 14-6 ASU. Now to the third quarter, Wilkins again with the bomb. And who catches it? None other than John Humphrey tumbling into the end zone. A 60-yard passing touchdown, 23-13 Sun Devils. And look at those fire dance moves that Humphrey has.
Those are nice.
I like it. I like it. I don't think I could do that, that's for sure. Still in the third quarter, Kalen Balaj. You've heard his name once. You'll hear it many times this season. A 20-yard rushing touchdown from him, saying, calm down, fellas. We got the fire. 30-13 ASU. And now Rogers launches it, intercepted by Kobe Williams, and he returns it for the interception to touchdown. And Kobe got his first interception of the season, also his first pick six. I think that's a pretty good resume for the young corner. Arizona State wins this one 37-31 and improves to 1-0. And to expand on this win a little more, we bring in Josiah Destin, a writer for HouseOfSparky.com. Josiah, first of all, thanks for being on the show. I want to get down to the nitty-gritty of this game. Was this win a significant one for the Sun Devils, and can fans appreciate this one despite the big projections that were expected?
You know, Blaine, actually, yes, to some extent. You know, the Aggies, they're from the Sun Belt Conference. They've only won 3 games in the past 5 seasons. They've only won an average of 3 games in those 5 seasons. But the Arizona State Sun Devils came out and they played hard. They brought Manny Wilkins out. He had 300 yards. That's something we didn't see much from last season. But at the same time, as many positives as there were many negatives. ASU let 7 sacks against the Aggies, and that's just something that you can't see from the Sun Devils offensive line. And at the same time, the Aggies had more passing yards and more rushing yards than the Sun Devils.
One area of concern for the Sun Devils has been the rushing game, and especially from Demario Richard. He came off the field with a slight limp, and fans were wondering, where's Demario? What happened to him?
Well, Blaine, he actually hurt his right leg on his first play of the game. It was 3 drives into the game for the Sun Devils, and he came off the field after a negative 4-yard run. Now, in practice, he was wearing a brace on every single day. He did practice for the Sun Devils this week, preparing for San Diego State. And in practice with that brace, he was still able to run. He didn't participate in any 11-on-11 or tempo drills, but he did tell us on Wednesday that he is cleared and that he is ready to face San Diego State. Now, the big issue going into the season is how far will this hurt him down the road?
And another issue for the Sun Devils is the offensive line. They gave up, like you mentioned, 7 sacks to Manny Wilkins. What changes need to be made in order to prevent that and make sure that the quarterback has a security?
No, the thing is, I'm not sure they're actually going to make any changes. The offensive line may have just had a rough week last week, and they might come out and beast out this week. A change that they can make is Zach Robertson. Zach Robertson is a sophomore, redshirt sophomore for the Sun Devils. He's a 4-star recruit. He was hurt all of the preseason, and now that he's coming in, he could bring his 6'6", 300-pound body into that offensive line and maybe do some damage. But for the offensive line, offensive line coach Rob Sale was saying, just win your one-on-one matchup and block the guy in front of you, and that's really what they need to focus on, is down to the basics for San Diego State.
Well, we'll see what changes are made for the Sun Devils. Thanks, Josiah, for coming on as the Arizona State Sun Devils take on the San Diego State Aztecs on Saturday.
Arizona State football once again suffers a big loss on defense as redshirt senior linebacker Marcus Ball announced his retirement from football on Wednesday. The decision was due to medical issues that kept him from practicing during this preseason, which led him to make his announcement on Twitter. This is what he said. I want to thank the Sun Devil fans as well as those who have supported every decision I have made up until this point. I am grateful for the opportunities I have got in my 5 years here at Arizona State University. I want to thank my coaches and, more importantly, my teammates for having a positive impact in my life. Those who know my story know that I have been battling with uncontrollable seizures going on 3 years and was diagnosed with epileptic seizures my sophomore summer. Those who don't, I want to make it clear that I am now retiring from football so I can live a better quality of life. My health and family are first in my life, but I make it clear that Arizona State University has put me in a position as well as it can to do with others to succeed in life. As I continue to be a positive impact in the program, I want to say thank you to all as my journey ends, but our journey continues as we embark to win a national championship, end quote. Ball finished the 2016 season second on the team in tackles with 64. Ball joins cornerback Armon Perry as the two Sun Devils to medically retire this past year.
With every football team, there are characters. There's the jokers, the screamers, the list goes on. But above all, teammates notice the seniors. House of Sparky's own Troy Lynch caught up with defensive lineman Tayshaun Smallwood on what his character is and how he impacts this team.
Welcome into HouseOfSparky.com. I'm Troy Lynch, and today I'm joined by Arizona State defensive lineman Tayshaun Smallwood. And Tayshaun, first of all, congratulations on a win and a great game. What was it like to finally go up against another opponent after just a preseason of hitting all your teammates?
Oh, man, it's great. We go against our teammates all camp, you know what I'm saying, in the spring. And by towards the end of fall camp, you start, man, you know what, I want to hit somebody else.
Right.
Because kind of going against the same thing. So getting out there, man, it was exciting. You know what I'm saying? It was real exciting. And our team was hungry to hit somebody else, so it was fun.
You could tell you were a little extra hungry. You did really well. You had 5 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and you also had 2 sacks. What compelled you to be so effective?
Oh, man, just going out there and just doing my best, you know what I'm saying, doing the best I can. And that's my goal out there every game. Go out there and do the best I can, and I just happen to make plays that game. So, you know what I mean, just go out there and do my best, and I feel like I did that.
And I saw something that normally I don't really see from you. After you get like a good play, good tackle, I saw some dance moves. Where was all that swagger coming from?
Oh, man, my goal this year is to have fun, man.
Yeah.
These past 3 years, I ain't really been having fun playing the game. But this year, man, I'm going to make sure I have fun. You know what I'm saying? Bring a little excitement to the defense and to the game.
Yeah, your senior year, do you have any personal goals you want to accomplish?
Oh, man, I mean, I just want to do my job, help my team the best way I can in order to win. You know what I mean? Just do my job better than everybody else in the country so I can produce a win.
Yeah, you did a really good job, and also you have 2 new corners. You have Joey Bryant and Kobe Williams. They did a pretty good job, too. What did you think on their performance?
I thought they did well, you know what I'm saying? First game in the big stage, you know what I'm saying, for both of them, but I thought they handled it well. But, I mean, as a defense, me too, us all, we all got some, we got some room to grow, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we got some areas that we need to fix.
You got to fix them pretty quick because San Diego State, they run the ball a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Rashad Penny, he seems like to be a pretty good running back.
Yeah, he is from what I've seen. You know what I mean, likes to get downhill, physical back, you know what I'm saying? But it falls right into our, you know what I mean, our strength. They're straight against our strength, you know what I'm saying? So it'll be a fun game.
Yeah, there were some Sun Devil fans who were a little bit worried that the score was a little too close, against New Mexico State. How are you feeling? How's the team feeling about the last win and going forward?
I mean, they're right. It was too close. You know what I'm saying? They're a good team. They're very competitive. But games like that, you know what I'm saying, where we have a 37-13 lead, we can't let that go. You know what I'm saying? We want to be a championship team, and it starts with a championship defense, and we can't let one-play touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? And we can't allow that. We got to be dominated for 4 quarters.
And there's no question that you've been a leader ever since you stepped on campus. But how are you trying to pass down that leadership now that you're a senior and one of the top dogs on the football program?
Just being an example. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Being an example for everybody else. Make sure I'm doing things right. I'm definitely not perfect at it, but that's just one of the things I need to work on. Just, you know what I mean? Just knowing that people are watching me. People are looking up to me, and knowing that what I do, you know what I'm saying, could affect my D-line, the defense, let alone the team.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that's on the field. Anything off the field that you're also trying to help them out with?
Oh, man, just being there for them. My goal, be there for the freshmen, you know what I'm
Right,
saying? Just
right.
To be a resource for them. The freshmen, man, I know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? Coming in as a freshman was a struggle for me, especially if you're playing, you know what I'm saying? So just being there, you know what I'm saying? To be there for somebody, be there for the freshmen, knowing that that I was also in their shoes, that I also went through what they was going through. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Well, Tayshaun, really glad you're having fun this season, and obviously you're off to a great start. And thank you so much for tuning in to HouseOfSparky.com. September 9th, Arizona State going up against San Diego State at home. We'll see you then. Now we know what's been going on with ASU football, but now we hand it over to our Pac-12 expert, Austin Burnett, to give us the full scoop on what's happening with the Conference of Champions. Austin?
It was a wild week in the Pac-12, and believe it or not, the Pac-12 went 11-0 in week 1, but it wasn't pretty. Two teams that struggled on week 1 were the Oregon State Beavers and the USC Trojans. Oregon State managed to escape Portland State 35-32 on Saturday. This is a big concern for head coach Gary Anderson, considering his team beat an FCS school by only 3 points. USC played Western Michigan on Saturday, and the Broncos hung in there with the Trojans for most of the game until USC took an 11-point lead with 3:49 left in the fourth quarter. USC was hyped as a national championship contender coming into the season, but didn't play like it. Not to mention Heisman hopeful Sam Darnold underperformed tremendously as he threw 2 interceptions and 0 touchdowns. Now the highlight of week 1 in the Pac-12 was UCLA's comeback win against Texas A&M. Josh Rosen played poorly for 3 quarters, and the Bruins went into the fourth quarter down 17-44. But Rosen finally showed up to play in the fourth quarter as he threw 4 touchdowns to lead the Bruins to a 45-44 win over the Aggies.
Thanks, Austin. A lot of craziness going on in the Pac-12, but you know what's not crazy, and that's bringing Josiah Destin back for another segment. Thanks so much for joining us. But we already recapped the ASU New Mexico State game, so let's preview the ASU San Diego State game. Pretty good team. They've won 8 out of the last 10 games. However, they do not have Donnell Pumphrey, their main running back from last year, but they seem to pose a pretty good running threat.
Yes, Troy, that's exactly right. And even without Donnell Pumphrey, they do bring Rashad Penny, who had 1,000 yards last season, even when he was under Donnell, who did rush for over 2,000 yards and led the FBS in that category. So this guy, Rashad, last week he ran for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns against UC Davis. Yes, it is against FCS UC Davis, but San Diego State carried the ball 52 times last week compared to New Mexico State carrying the ball just 30 times. So this is a very run-happy San Diego State offense, and the Arizona State defensive line is going to have to be a wall if they want to stop Rashad Penny and the Aztecs this Saturday night.
It kind of reminds me of the game last season where Arizona State had to go up against U of A, and the Wildcats ran the ball the entire second half, and ASU really struggled with that. But that's on ASU's defensive front. Let's talk about San Diego State and what they bring defensively. It seems to be a little bit different. Obviously, Arizona State very potent when it comes to their offense, but are they going to be able to struggle at all with the San Diego State defense running a 3-3-5?
Yeah, and you talk about the 3-3-5. Rocky Long, the head coach at San Diego State, runs that type of defense. That means 3 guys up front on the defensive line and 5 defensive backs playing back there in the backfield, watching that quarterback, Manny Wilkins. And that's something they did a great job last season, Troy. They had 23 interceptions. That's good for second in all of college football. So that's something that Wilkins has to watch out for, are those interceptions. He had none against New Mexico State, but we'll see how he plays against this San Diego State defense.
Yeah, Manny Wilkins winning the starting quarterback job over Blake Barnett. He performed really well. Now, what does Arizona State have to do in order to make sure their game against San Diego State's not as close, because obviously the Sun Devils still favored over the Aztecs in this one?
For one thing, don't turn the ball over. Like I mentioned before, Wilkins, 0 interceptions last week. The running backs, 0 fumbles. And that's something that Arizona State was able to do against New Mexico State, was get those 2 interceptions. And if it wasn't for those interceptions, they may not even have won that game. So, that's something the Suns have to do, is hold the ball, keep it in place. Another thing is the offensive line. 7 sacks against San Diego State, may not be able to do it, and Arizona State is going to have to step up in that area.
San Diego State still a really good team. Arizona State 1-0 on the season. So are the Aztecs. But Josiah, once again, thank you so much for joining us, and you can catch more of his work on houseofsparky.com.
There's a certain urge to play when you're an athlete in any sport. Wide receiver John Humphrey is finally getting to satisfy that urge. Humphrey redshirted his freshman year at Oklahoma, where he only played on the scout team. Then, due to NCAA transfer rules, had to sit out the 2016 season at Arizona State, once again playing on the scout team. Now he can finally dig his cleats into Frank Cush Field and show off his athleticism in front of more than just coaches. Against New Mexico State, Humphrey caught 7 passes, one of them a 60-yard passing touchdown. You'll see him always with a smile, and that smile will only get bigger as the season goes on. And that's why John Humphrey is our ASU Feel Good Story of the Week.
Love Humphrey's story. Thanks so much, Blaine. Let's get into our Pac-12 top plays of the week. You all know this one was coming. New Mexico State. What? That's Jaleel Scott making the one-handed catch over Kobe Williams. 6'6" versus 5'10", number 3 play.
I want to introduce you, Troy, to blind long snapper Jake Olson from USC. Incredible story from Los Angeles. He's blind, and he can hike the ball. It's an incredible story. Go check him out.
But our top play goes to the UCLA Bruins. Down 34 in the fourth quarter, no problem, because you got Chosen Rose and a 10-yard touchdown pass to Jordan Lacey to beat the Aggies by 1, and that deserves our top play of the week. I mean, what a weekend for Pac-12 football.
Exactly, and I mean, going 11-0, Austin mentioned it earlier, and what a weekend for college football in general.
That's the truth.
I mean, I'm excited for this season. Are you excited for this season?
I think I'm the most excited anybody can be for college football.
Enthusiasm is the main theme of Troy Lynch, but thank you guys so much for tuning in to our first football show of the season. For my partner, Troy Lynch, I'm Blaine McCormick, and make sure to catch up with everything on houseofsparky.com.